welcome to today's bag making class. So this is a sketch of what we are doing today, and I'm going to start by making the handle of the bag. I'm using 25 loose pearl beads, and then this is my hardware for the end of the bag, and then I have 2 spacers in gold and 2 cream beads also in gold. The tools I'm going to use are my flat nose plier and my cutter, and the fishing line will be my beading thread. Now this is a much thicker fishing line because it's going to serve as a handle for the bag, so it needs to be a bit heavier. Let's dive in. I'm going to get about 15 inches of this thread, and then I'm going to start fixing the handle. So I'll start by getting a cream bead onto my beading thread like that, and then I'll get the end of my toggle without the bar for the ends. You can also use a lobster claw for this end, so whatever you choose to do, you can actually, and I will show you how it's going to sit on the bag at the end of it, so you get to see it. So when you do that, we take, that was a bit quicker, let me go back and do it again. So I get my cream bead onto the thread, and then I get the other end of my toggle in, bring the thread into the cream bead, bring the thread into the cream bead, pull the cream bead towards the end of your toggle, and then crimp it in there. Then you cut the short end of my thread off. Then I'll start stringing my pearl beads. But before I string my pearl beads, I'm going to put on a spacer. So my spacer goes on first, and then I start stringing my pearl beads. Now I'll show you what the spacer does. The spacer just gives your pearl bead an added effect, so you can see it. That is all it does, and I think it gives it a beautiful finish. So I'm going to string on all my pearl beads and then finish it off the other end the way I start. So I've cut into the other end of my strap or my bag handle. As you can see, I'm now going to try and finish it off with my spacer. So my spacer goes on first, and then my cream bead, and then my toggle goes on next. So the end of my thread goes back into the cream bead. I'm going to pull it, and then I'll crimp it there. Crimp it in place, and then cut the loose end off. So this is the handle of my bag, and we are done. So let's dive into the main body of the bag and we take it from there. Okay, so the flap of the bag is going to be 2.25 inches. The flap of the bag is going to be 2.25 inches. The front of the bag is going to be 4.75 inches, and then the back is going to be 4.75 inches. The size of the fox leather we are using is 8 by 11 inches, so like the size of an A4 sheet. And this is what I have done. So I know that this is my marking for 2.25 inches, and then when I put it into 2 like that, this will be my front, and this will be my back. You get it? So this comes on top of it as the flap here for the bag. So let's develop the stencil for the side of the bag. So I'm talking about this, you know, and going across the width of the side, that is 3.75 or 10 centimeters, and then the length of the bag is 3.85 inches or 10 centimeters. Okay, so I've cut it out in a square. So from here to here, that is the width, that is 3.75 inches or 10 centimeters, and then the length is 3.85 inches or 10 centimeters. Now the next step is to put this into 2 equal halves. like that into 2 equal halves, and then fold it again into another half. It's just to make the crease inside and help us draw the little arc at the bottom of the side. So here, see, I have this crease and I have this crease, so I'm working at the lower left square. From this corner to this corner, I'm going to be making the arc, and look at me do that easily. So I put anything rounded, it could be a bowl, it could be your cup, or anything rounded, just to get this shape out. So I'm going to trace it from here to here. I've just put the corner there in that trace. I'm going to transfer it and cut it out over here. So we get the bottom of the bag on the side out of it. So I'm going to trace this out and then cut it out. So I have both shapes cut out beautifully, just the way I want it. Now this is what I want to do. This is the inside of the bag. I want to line the inside of the bag with another fabric, just the inside of the bag, but I'm going to be leaving about 1/8 of an inch all around, because that is going to be my stitch allowance. So all around I'm going to leave 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to cut the inside of this bag, something to cover the inside as well, and leave 1/8 of an inch around it as well, so just to line the inside of a bag. Okay, so this is my lining. It's going to go on the leather I'm using. I've left, as you can see, I've left the edges of the leather here, because that's where I'm going to be stitching, so I don't want the fabric to catch on it, else it will be too heavy for me to stitch the leather. So I've left the edges about 1/8 of an inch all around it for stitching. I'm going to finish the edges of the fabric with a zigzag finish. So that's the edge finish I have decided to use for that. I'm doing it for both of them. This fabric, I finished the top here with pinking shears. If you don't have a pinking shears, you have to make this a bit bigger, so that when you fold up, it comes up to this size. So I'm using 2 pockets for the inside. I'm using 2 pockets for the inside. One is going to be here, and then the other one is going to be on this side. As you can see, the pockets are quite bigger, because when I fold on the edges like that to finish off the edges, then I'll come back to the actual size of the pocket I want. So I'm going to fold it like that before I stitch it all round to finish it, and then I put a tag here. I've decided to use 2 pockets, so one is going, they're going to go opposite each other. One is going to go this way, so that when I open the bag I have it going this way, and then the other one is also going to go this way. So this will be the top of the pocket, and after I've finished everything off, I come back to the size I want. So the actual size, or the finished size of the pocket, is going to be, when we go lengthwise, or the width like this, the finished size is going to be 5 inches. So if you cut it 6 inches, then you have 1/4 of an inch going in, folding in, and 1/4 of an inch folding in on this end. So in the end, you'll be left with 5.5 as your finished length. And then when we go vertically this way, we want our finished length to be 3.5. So if you cut it 4 inches, then you have about 1/4 of it also going in, and then you are left with the 3.5 inches. I hope I'm making sense. So you do that for both ends, and then you stitch it on. For these edges, I'm going to finish it off with the zigzag finish. So I'll finish off the fabric with a zigzag finish, and I don't attach it to the leather yet, because I'm going to sew on the pockets before I attach it to the leather, and I'll attach all my hardwares before I finally put the fabric on top of it, so the fabric actually covers all the rough. As you can see, I folded the edges in, so I folded the edges all over inside, and that's how I want to finish the edges of my pocket. So one pocket goes on this way, and then the other pocket comes that way, so opposite each other. I'll run a stitch here, here, and here, and a stitch here, here, and here. So I'm going to pick up the fabric like that. I'm going to run the stitch not together with the leather, just separately like that, and then when I finish I bring it back. Before I go on to run the stitch onto the main lining of the bag, I want to hand stitch my tag onto it before I do. So here we are, I've finished stitching my pockets. I'm going to have two pockets, like I said earlier. This will be the bigger pocket, and this one has two partitions. I put a stitch line in between, you can see here. So we have the smaller one and like another one for, let's say, your cards, your bank cards or complimentary cards or anything like that. Just give it a few compartments to make the bag more usable. This goes on the sides as well, so I'm going to put glue here and then just stick this onto it, and do the same for the other side as well. But before I do that, I'm going to fix the metallic clasp. I'm going to fit the metallic clasp before we go ahead and then stick the lining onto the main bag. Okay, so to fit the metallic clasp, we have to find the center of the bag going this way. Just to locate the center, you can see I've located the center and made a mark, and I've done that same thing on the top. I'm going to use the legs of these metallic clasps to make a hole in the bag. At least split my first hole so that I know exactly where the clasp is going to go. So I've created my hole over there. I'm just going to get my seam ripper to help me make a hole. This one you can use whatever you think you can use to make the hole, and then like always just push the legs through the holes we've made like that, and then put the back of the metallic clasp on top of it, and then press them down. Okay, so the other side of the clasp must come on together with the lining of the fabric. When this is done, we just put some glue all over here and then stick it down, and then we would have finished with the inside of the bag, and do the same thing for this other sides as well. Put some glue there and stick the inside as well. Remember, this is our seam allowance, and that is what is going to be stitching onto the sides of the main body of the bag as well. So let's get the glue on and then begin. Okay, so here we are with a lining lined into the inside of my leather. I'm yet to attach it permanently with a glue over here, and I'm going to be using the evosti glue to get it and firmly fixed into the inside of the bag. I'm going to do that for the sides as well, and then after that we can stitch it in. I'm doing the same for the sides of the bag as well with evosti glue, so I'm just spreading the glue all over the piece, and then I'll attach my inner lining to it, and then we can start putting the bits of the bag together. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue all over here, and then some all around here, and then put it together. Try and fit it all together like what I've done here, and then now put a stitch through it to make it firm. I'm going to do that to both sides. and then we can carry on from there. So as we can see now, our bag is beginning to take its shape, and then we take it off from there. So as you can see, I'm applying my glue gently so that we finish with a very clean finish. The glue is just to help us make the side piece a bit stable, so that stitching is rather easier than difficult. So just a little bit of glue to keep the pieces together, to make our stitching quite easy. So you gently align the both edges, as you can see me do after applying the glue. So I have my glue already applied at the edge here. I'm just trying to align it, and it conforms to the shape as you go along. So gently align it. The glue just helps you in your stitching, you know, because when you have everything pinned and lined up in there, it makes it easier for you to stitch along as you go. So make sure that all the ends are meeting beautifully. You can use your craft bag to hold them in place. When you're sure of what you've done, then you just put some craft bags in place just to hold the ends together whilst they dry up and get ready to be stitched. Bag is stitched. All we have to do is to fix our brooch here and then put in the handle. So we are just left with the cosmetic bits of it, and I'm first going to attach this handle. You can see my markings as we put in earlier, so this will just be fixed here with the help of this little patch that is going to go over it. So I'm going to put some glue over the patch and put a little bit here as well. Just keep this up here and then use this to fix it to make it stand like that. So as you can see, I'm trying to fix one of the handles, or one of the lab rings or D rings, if you what you want to call it. I'm trying to fix one of them here, and then we can finish it. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and set the brooch over here. So I'm going to put some glue on top of this and some glue here to stick it there in place to cover up a little mess. Okay, so to keep this bit firmly secured, I'm going to put a stitch here. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of tack here and here with a blue thread so that it will match the main body of the bag, to just keep it firm in place so that it doesn't have to come off. So I'm going in and out a couple of times, and then that's it for here, 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 and there. Okay, so this is our finished bag. That's the handle, that's the back. As you can see, that's the inside of the bag. I'm going to put a couple of things in here, just so that you see how it looks. So that's the project for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give our video a thumbs up and a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that when we upload a new video, you would be notified. Have a lovely day. Bye.